So our webinar today is going to be led by Lara Fitches, who's our Besyncly integration expert. Lara has many years of experience in helping web and marketing agencies to integrate websites with wider business systems on behalf of their clients. So Lara works very closely with companies like yourselves who are looking to add value to existing client projects, reach some new clients, and open up an additional stream of revenue within their business as well. So we hope that you find today's session valuable and you gain some insight into how Besyncly can add value to these projects for you. So without further ado, I will hand you over to Lara.
Thanks, Louise. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. So as mentioned, my name's Lara Fitches. I look after all of our Besyncly customers here at Eureka Solutions. So across the board, end users, partners like yourselves, such as web developers, accountants, and then with any other sort of companies that we've written specific or developed specific connectors for. So anything you need from an integration perspective, then obviously just give me a shout. We'll obviously share my contact details at the end of this, and you will have them moving forward. So today, hoping that you can see my screen there. Yeah, brilliant. So just to go through the agenda for today, so we're going to do a bit of an introduction to Besyncly for web agencies. We'll have a chat through the Shopify integration in general, and go through, compatible products for linking with Shopify. I will give you a brief demo of the Besyncly platform and show you what a typical Shopify integration would look like. And then we will have some time at the end just for some questions that you might have. So an overview of the platform. What is Besyncly? So Besyncly is an intelligent cloud-based tool that connects business systems, eliminating the need for tedious manual tasks such as rekeying data between screens. With a simple, user-friendly design, it's a bridge between platforms, allowing for the sharing of key data where manual intervention would otherwise be necessary. So Besyncly's development journey, originally back in 2005, we had an on-premise version of the platform, which was called Data Exchange. And then in sort of around 2017 came the arrival of Besyncly, which is the cloud-based version of the platform. So Besyncly's development journey, we had to be assured of three things really when we decided to take it to be a cloud-based platform. So the first one was obviously it had to be fully cloud-based and secure. It had to be platform independent, so meaning we wanted it to basically be able to integrate anything with everything really across the board. And the third one was that it had to be scalable, so we want this to be able to grow with your business. Today, we've got over 40 system connectors within the platform. So that's specific sort of API connectors that we've built for connecting to various different systems. And there's over 500 custom connectors and integrations within the platform. So that's, we've developed a custom integration for somebody who's using maybe a specific internal system that they've had developed by their own developers, for example. So our most popular connectors, you can see on there, there's probably a lot of logos that you'll recognize. This is just to name but a few. So most popular e-commerce connectors, obviously you've got Shopify on there. I would say that's probably the one that we get asked to integrate with the most would be Shopify. You've then got the likes of, obviously, there's WooCommerce, there's Magento, you've got Amazon, eBay, BigCommerce. And then there's the ones that we've developed for web agencies who've maybe built their own specific e-commerce platform. The likes of Iconography's on there, they've got their own EPOS system as well. So we build custom connectors, as mentioned. These are the most common sort of accounting and ERP systems that we get asked to link with. So naturally, you've got all your Sage products on there. You've got Sage 50, Sage 200, Xero, QuickBooks, and then you've got your bigger platforms on there such as iPlicit, Intact, and NetSuite. CRM wise, again, there's NetSuite on there, which is an ERP and a CRM system. You've got Salesforce. There's other ones on the horizon on the roadmap. So you've got Zoho, you've got Pipedrive. If there's anything on there that you have specifically been asked for integration with that you can't see, obviously just shout out, because we've either got it on the roadmap or we've done it as a custom sort of one-off integration for a customer in the past. And then just as an example here, we've got HubSpot, which is in development at the moment. I think that's due out for release sort of springtime. So we're getting asked all of the time to add new systems and connectors to the platform. So like I say, just mention it and we can take a look at it for you. So Besyncly today, we have over, well, millions of transactions going through the platform per month, which equates to billions of pounds worth of transactions a year running through the system. So how does Shopify integration help you then? It's going to add value to your projects, so you can offer clients more than just an out-of-the-box website, for example, and it's going to add value to your project offering. Additional revenue streams for yourselves. So obviously there is a partner program, a referral program with Besyncly, and it'll strengthen your clients' relationships. So you're going to become indispensable to your clients by offering a complete solution, and it essentially just makes them that little bit more sticky with you. How does a Shopify integration help your clients? So it's going to remove manual processes. There's no more rekeying of data, no more manual updates required, and no keying errors. It's going to save them time and money because it's an instant data transfer. They're going to be processing orders more quickly. They're not sitting there typing all these orders in manually into their accounting system, and it's going to result in happier customers. So there's faster order fulfillment, no more errors in shipments, and accurate stock levels. There's nothing worse than when you place an order online and you get an email, or a phone call in an hour's time, and that product's out of stock. There's just no reason for that to be still happening. So let's go into it in a little bit more detail. This is just an overview of what a typical sort of Shopify to ERP integration could look like. A lot of them are a little bit more sort of straightforward than this. So they might just want, their orders coming from a Shopify website going into a specific accounting system. So that could be sales orders or invoices. You've got information that can go both ways. So that would be things like your products and your customers. So if we get asked to import an order, for example, from the Shopify site into, I'm going to say Sage, they might want us to create the customer along with that. They might want us to import the product as well, or that information might need to be sent from Sage, for example, back up to Shopify. And then in the middle in grey, you've got information which would typically just go the one way. So that would come from their accounting or their ERP system and go back up to Shopify. And that's things like you can see there. So dispatch notifications, stock levels, and product pricing information. So I'm going to now take you through a brief demonstration of the platform, and I'm hoping you can all still see my screen there. So this is the dashboard. This is the Besyncly platform, and like I mentioned, it's fully cloud-based, so you can access this from anywhere. That being said, although you do get access to it, or the client would get access to it, it's up to you how much time you spend in this platform. So I'll go through the main sections in a second, but essentially once it's all set up and running, you don't really need to be in here very often, and I'll run through the reasons why you would need to come in a second. So this is the dashboard. Essentially, it just gives you a brief overview. Sorry, you'll see here that I'm just logged into my demo account. So this gives you an overview of what plan you're on, how many transactions you've got for the month, when it's next due to reset. And there's obviously a nice little chart down here, which obviously if this was live, it would just show you, maybe busy periods, any successful and failed transactions that have been through the platform. And you can see it broken down here as well, what you've used and what you've got left. So at the top, this is your account information. or your account settings. Again, a similar sort of thing. It just tells you what percentage of transactions you've used. But down here, this is where you can set up all of your two-factor authentication settings. So obviously we set all this up again, by the way, just bear that in mind. And you can set this up per user. So you can have, you can make it mandatory for all users, or you can set it on per user. If you come down here, you can see which email addresses are associated with your account. So if you need more than one person to have access to Besyncly, that's fine. And there's also this section here, which is allow partner access. So we do have some web development agencies who would like access to their clients' Besyncly integration. They just like that little bit of control over it, or they might be doing something on the website that might interfere with the integration, so they can either turn it off, turn it on. But like I say, you can have as little or as much involvement as that in that is what you need. So on the left-hand side, you've got, we've been through the dashboard, so you've got the concept of connectors and integrations. So I'm just going to show you the connector section first. And this is where we would go in and set up the connectors for the systems that your client wants to integrate with. So obviously for the purposes of today, we're focusing on Shopify, which is here. You can see on the left, I've in the past already set up a couple of Shopify demo connectors. But essentially it's just as easy as popping in the connector, what you want to call the connector and the domain name, and we'll go off and connect it up to the back end. Other connectors require a little bit more information. So you've got NetSuite here, just as an example. Obviously that requires more information. You've got your token key, secret, consumer key, and bits of information like that. But again, don't worry too much about this. This is all something that our implementations team would handle for you. So once you've got your connector set up, typically it would be Shopify to, like I say, Sage or Xero or whatever it might be. You can then go in and set up your actual integrations. Now this is one that I've made earlier, basically. So we've got a couple set up for Shopify to Sage 200, and we've got one here for Shopify and Sage 50. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly jump in and show you what an integration would look like after our team have basically mapped all the fields. So if we just open this one up, this is an order import from Shopify into Sage 50, and you'll see we get access to all of the fields available in the Shopify API on the left-hand side. So I'm going to go scroll down, and then on the right-hand side, that's the system that we're importing to. So in this instance, it's Sage 50, but as mentioned, it could be any of them. And it's all of the typical fields that you would expect. So it's obviously the order number, you've got your billing address, your shipping address. If we go further down here, you've got your SKU code, going to your product code, you've got your quantities, your tax amounts. So these are all sort of standard mapping lines that we would map between the two systems. And then as you get further down, if you can see the ones in orange here, these are where the team would set up, or they would tell the integration to do something a little bit more specific. So just as an example for this one, we're telling this integration to import all orders into one generic Shopify account in their accounting system. So rather than creating loads of individual customers every time we get an order, we're just sending them to one Shopify customer account in Sage. And then obviously here you've got whatever bank account nominal you need to use. And this is where you can just add new mapping lines. I'm going to quickly show you, but don't get too worried about this, because again, this isn't something that we would expect you to do. But basically on the order, that's all of the fields that we get access to in Shopify, in the Shopify backend. Now, there could be custom fields as well that aren't in here. We can also cater for custom fields and meta fields and things like that. On the right-hand side here, we've got the integration options. So this is basically where we can do things like send notifications to a particular person. You can have as many email addresses in here as you want. And this is where you would receive an email if there was a failed transaction going through the platform, just so you're constantly updated and you're aware of these failures. But like I say, you've got support and everything like that with the platform anyway, and it's something that our team would monitor as well in the background. So you can set up failed notifications there. And you've just got a couple of settings which are useful for testing, for example. So we've got allow duplicates on here, and that's just so we can, if there was a test order in the Shopify backend and we're testing before we go live with Besyncly, we can just keep pushing that order through and making changes to the same order, so we know we've caught everything basically. Save fail date is a really good one, which I'll show you in a minute, and that is basically for those failed notifications that I've just sent you. It'll appear in the log section over here, and it tells you exactly why that order's failed to import, for example, and you can go in and fix it. So I'll show you that in a second. But if we go back to the top, this is where your schedule is. So once the integration goes live, this would all be set up for you, and you can have it running sort of every 10 minutes or every hour. But the customer can also come in as well if they wanted to, and they can change the schedule. So, you can run it more often, or you can run it on a Monday at 3 o'clock. So there's all sorts of different timings you can have on here. And obviously you can just turn it on and off as well. I'm going to come out of this one. And we'll just have a quick look in the log section here. Now I've kept a failed log just to show you. But essentially, if you open that up, this is my demo account, so I wouldn't expect it to look like this in a live one. But essentially, it'll just tell you the reason why it's failed, and it doesn't recognize the document type in this instance, which obviously is here. But probably a failure that you would recognize more, just as an example. If you take this item code here, it might say, look, this item code doesn't exist in the system that you're trying to import it to. So this is what it's known as in Shopify. It's called something else in Sage, so it's failed. What you can do is, or the customer can do is just come in here and change that and just click on resend data, and it'll fire it back off. So it's a nice feature to have, because obviously, like I say, the support team are there to investigate any failures, but the customer can also come in and just jump on and change it if they know what the problem is. And again, lastly, you've got the support section, which you can create a ticket straight from here, or they've got the telephone and email, telephone number and email addresses on here, and it's 9 till 5:30 Monday to Friday. Probably the last thing I'll show you, which again you may or may not find useful. Some of you who are a little bit more technical might use this, but it's just a nice little guide. So if you click on Shopify, and we'll click on order, for example, it's just a field guide. So it shows you exactly what we can import and export to and from Shopify. And if you go on the other side, products, for example, gives you every single field that's available in the connector. And obviously, I can send this information over to you as well at some point if you wanted to have a look. And I'm obviously happy to go through, if you've got somebody who has an integration in mind, I'm more than happy to do another demo, a more specific demo with the customer or with yourselves. That's absolutely fine. So I think that is about it in a nutshell for the platform. We go back to the slides. I'm hoping you can still see my screen here. So results. So last year we worked it out, and we've basically saved over 50 plus labour years for our customers last year, and that equates to around a £12,000 average customer saving per year. And you can see here, this is just a sort of a random selection of some of the customers who use our platform, and it's really just to show you the broad range of people using it, really. So just as an example, you've got Lane 7 on there, who you may or may not have heard of them, but it's a sort of a nationwide chain of bowling alleys, and theirs is more, it would be bookings really. So they take bookings for bowling and ping pong and things like that, and they get imported. You've got a whiskey distillery. You've got Gym King on there as well, who obviously are a popular sort of gym clothing apparel website. So it doesn't necessarily have to be product integrations. Like I say, it could be booking, ticketing systems and things like that. So what else can Besyncly do? So as well as just your e-commerce integrations, your Shopify integrations, if there is a system that you want to link to and it's got an API, then we can build custom connectors. So we can do industry specific integrations for things such as supply chain management. There's booking and ticketing. field service management, insurance, charities, facility management, project systems. We've got a Ticketmaster integration, there's Secutix, we do charity, we do fundraising integrations for pledges and things like that. So if a system's got an API, we can integrate with it. For the ones that don't have, we can also do file-based integrations as well, where we would obviously just export a file and pick it up from a location somewhere. So I think that's probably about enough information for you today. Thank you so much for joining. We do appreciate it. As mentioned, my contact details are on there. We'll obviously send this over to you so you've got a copy. But does anybody have any questions for now?
Hi Lara, thank you for that. We have had a couple of questions come in already. So the first one was, does Besyncly use webhooks?
It does, yes. So it's something that we've been asked for more, and it's for those that don't know, it's just essentially another way of triggering, like automatically triggering an integration without using the schedule and things like that. So it's been, it's fully supported now. Support for that's been added in.
Okay, I've got another question here for you, Lara. I think you have covered this since the question's been asked, but the question is, what logging and error handling features are available to help detect any issues?
Yeah, so you've got the log section, which we touched on before, which basically is where any of the failures will appear. You can obviously get those sent to you as well, which is what the email notification thing was for. And we also do internally have like alerts monitored. So we would sort of know roughly how many transactions you're running through a month. And if for any reason there was a spike in that, we would just jump on and see if there was a reason why that was happening. But again, like I say, once it's all set up and in running, it kind of just ticks along in the background.
Amazing, thank you. And I've got one more here for you, Lara. Can you please tell us a bit more about the data security of the platform?
Yeah, so we've tried to put as many sort of security measures in place or security tools in place just to make sure it's as safe as possible, really. So all data is encrypted at rest, so that just means it's all fully protected. The data storage in Besyncly itself is kept to a minimum, so it's just the required information that we keep, which is really for a very, very limited time as well. So that's just the failed logs, for example. So that's information that you need to correct that failure, and then once it's corrected, that's removed from the platform. There's automatic updates as well, just to stay ahead of any sort of cybersecurity threats. And obviously, all accounts are two-factor auth secured as well, which you've seen there in the platform.
Amazing, thank you, Lara. We don't have any more questions at the moment, but what I'll do, I think, is hold on just a minute or two, just to see if any more questions do come in. But if not, thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope that you found the session informative, and we hope you have a lovely rest of your afternoon.